Well, I'm 53 years old, and I grew up in a farm, in a very small farm, and at the age of 13, I picked up substances. And from the age of 13, I did one substance, and at the age of 15, I did another substance, which really destroyed my life because that substance made up for everything and for everything that I ever wanted to do. It took everything away from me. I was never able to function in life because I was never able to do anything because I was always on substances. I was on alcohol, benzos, and heroin, all of them at the same time.
Okay.
So a lot of stuff happened to me. Very many overdoses, many times at the hospital, many times left for dead on the streets in abandoned buildings and stuff like that. So a lot of stuff happened to me throughout that time. I had been in treatment before some other times, but I had 2 years sober, clean time when I relapsed this time, and it got to a point where it was so terrible. You see, I had never been suicidal in my life, but in a certain way, life just didn't have any meaning anymore. Everything was slipping away from me. I woke up one day and I just saw myself in the mirror, and I saw myself completely deteriorated, physically, how I just saw myself mentally and everything. That it was just like no more meaning of surviving anymore. So I was willing to go that distance, and I started. Actually, I have a strong faith base that I believe in, and I started praying. Even though I was completely loaded, I started praying and not asking God to help me, and I would never do this again. No, I started asking God to open up a door for me. And I didn't realize it at the time, but I was seeing a commercial on TV that said, if you have a problem with addiction, what are you waiting for? Make that phone call. And I kept seeing it and seeing it and seeing it over again till one day it really struck me. It really struck me and said, if you're really struggling with addiction, what are you waiting for to make that phone call? And I picked up that phone call, and some wonderful people answered my phone call, and they were willing to work with me. And it did take a while, but like everything is a process. Everything is a process. And eventually they sent me out here to Sovereign House. They asked me if I was willing to go anywhere. I told them, send me wherever you want to send me. I am willing to go anywhere you want me to go. This is the first time that I've been in a treatment center where it's actually worked with mental health and addiction, because even though I'm not in the mental health program, I understand that up here I did a lot of damage to myself. I did a lot of damage to myself, and a lot of that stuff is irreversible. They just can't open up my brain and put it back together and then I'll be very healthy. It's not, I burned up a lot of stuff in there. That's what addiction does. That's what it did to me. It burned up a lot of my neurons or whatever happens inside the brain, and also my body. And this has been a very great experience, because I have learned how some parts of the brain functions and so many different things. So it's a very good program. When I first saw the place, I said, wow, it's a nice place, big place, right? And like I was saying, I had been in treatment before, but it's so different because everything is separate. The living quarters, where we get our food and where we come to our groups and all that. It is white spaces. Everything is very organized. We have our places where we have our snacks and stuff like that. I've been to places where there's not even water. We have water and Kool-Aid and Gatorade or whatever, coffee, at any given time. There's places where they will only serve a cup of coffee because a lot of people going through withdrawals drink a lot of coffee and they make it worse. So here, it's also understand that the patient also needs to relax himself, in any way that the patient feels that it's needed for himself. Right now, I'm already in outpatient program, so I did start from the bottom. I didn't come here and then I was outpatient right away, right? I know what it is to be in detox. This time I did 10 days in detox. I got here in a very terrible shape. This is the longest time that I have been in detox. So it does go to show that it does get progressive. Does get worse every time. So I did like 10 days in detox, and then I went through through my different levels, my different stages, complying with everything that I needed to do. And I went through Vista Chino first, and then from there I went to Tuscany. And I've been there at Tuscany ever since I got moved there. And it's a nice place. We have accommodations like other places don't have. We have big yards, we have nice beds and little kitchenettes and stuff like that. And we even have swimming pools, which is very nice. It's very nice, And then the scenery, the mountains around, and everything, makes it all very attractive. For me, actually, it was for me better to be with the rest of the residents because I got to work on myself a lot. It's very different from the regular groups than to the Prime. The Prime, it's okay. I'm not saying it's not any good. Everything's good. But over there for me was like more of an experience of real life situation. I was very respectful to everybody. If I ever had any doubts or anything, I would go ask them. I would go ask for help. I would go ask questions. And everybody was always very helpful. Everybody was very helpful, very, very respectful, very honest. If they didn't have an answer, they would communicate it with somebody else, and they would get together and, and work things out with me. Everything has been great. I have never had one single complaint about any of them, not one, with any of the house managers or anything. And my therapist, very, very wonderful lady. For me, the group therapy was getting a better understanding in depth about my addiction, about the certain chemicals, the way they work, and about relapse prevention, about understanding triggers and everything that has to be done with addiction once one is in recovery. See, to be able to identify all those things, to be able to identify like anger and resentments and all this stuff, to be able to have a better grasp on them, to be able to move forward on all these things, which is very interesting. And individual sessions are very interesting too, because there I can open up a little bit more, like with my therapist or my caseworker. I can open up a little bit more about my past experiences, what I have gone through, because me personally, I went through a lot of verbal and physical abuse, and I'm able to open up more there, and we're able to cope with things on an individual sessions, which is very great groups. All of them are my favorites for me, because I get a lot of information from all of them. But, I like those groups, like, for example, like Beverly is like very, she has such a heart for recovery. She's like very raw, she's like her experience, it just reminds me a lot about myself. I identify with her so much and she is very straight to the point. She doesn't go around stuff. She is so into it, and that's so wonderful. Richard, all of them, they're very great people here. Right now, a typical day for me, like I'm still in the process of looking for work. So what my day consists of today is, I do anything that I can for like here for Sovereign Health. I like staying busy. I like doing stuff. So I like taking care of plants. So I water plants. I pick up whatever trash needs to be picked up. You know, I don't expect everything to be done for me. You know, I do give back for what was given to me. You know, I talk to my sponsor. You know, I'm working, he gives me some homework, which I also do, and I make my meetings on a daily basis. For me, I'm going to take everything that I learned here. That I will take all with me. You see, because I cannot take that chance and leave it here, because that belongs to me. Everything that was given, all that information, I take all that with me. What I have piled up here is the tools that I will be able to use when I leave this place, you know, and that's one thing that's going to keep me going on the path that I'm on right now. My advice for anybody seeking treatment is that, you know, give yourself that chance. Give yourself that chance, you know. This is the beginning of a process of recovery right here, treatment. It is the beginning, you know, it is the beginning of a better life. I do say that, you know, when I say give yourself a chance, is that, you know, to give yourself a chance of a better life, you know, for the children, for the parents, for a better education, for a better life, you know. Because me personally, I ended up here with nothing. Everything that ends with a less, with a plus on it. So I ended up here with nothing whatsoever. So don't let that be part of your story. Give yourself that chance, because I'll tell you one thing, Sovereign is worth it, and because you are worth it also. See, you're worth everything in life. You know, your life is not worth destroying. Your life is worth getting back. Me personally, I am truly grateful to Sovereign House, because Sovereign House gave me my life back. See, it gave me my life back, because my life was completely chaos, and my life was not that far from slipping away. And here, you know, physically, mentally, spiritually, I have been patched back together a little bit at a time. It's also a process, but you know, everything here at Sovereign House, everything life has to offer is certainly better than what it was before. In recovery, it cannot get worse than it was. It can only get better. So I do recommend for anybody seeking help to give yourself that chance. You know, come to Sovereign House, you know, and you know, take it upon yourself to get everything that you can get out of it. You know, if somebody else doesn't want it, if you want it, the help is here. It is here for you. Take that chance.